Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to another Masters of the Universe, the board game Clash for Eternia unboxing. This is for the Wrath of Snake Mountain. This was a Kickstarter exclusive box. So of course I like doing these unboxings anyhow. That way you can see what's in them and decide if it's worth you going to pick it up or not. So if you didn't get it during the Kickstarter, you now have you'll have an opportunity to at least see what's all in there and see if it's worth you going for it. So this is definitely an interesting set. I think it's probably listed as Kickstarter exclusive because the other two expansions, being She-Ra and the Horde, they would have been like the main characters from the She-Ra cartoon. And then the Snake Mountains, the Snakemen, and King Hiss and everyone were introduced probably later in the series. So they probably figured most people that just have the base idea of what He-Man is probably don't know who these characters are. Although I think some people are going to probably know the toys, regardless. Alright, so let's hop in and look at what we got. First, we have our token sheet. So we have, of course, all our 7 different, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 different characters. We have some new hex tiles here, which we'll look over those. Plus, we have a bunch of new condition tokens. So previously, we only had dazed. This set's going to add a lot more interesting new conditions. Now, the only characters going to be able to use these are going to be characters from the set, possibly something from the Kickstarter exclusive box set, but I'm not even sure because I think there's only 1 or 2 other characters that are linked to this set, and they might have just opted not to do that in case you didn't buy this. But those are all double-sided, but the hex tiles have a second different side on there, which is cool. Although unless for some reason why they would flip over, I think they're used by the same character. I would have honestly preferred a second set of tokens just because I like to have the ability to play as much as I can. Alright, so we have all of our cards here for the controllers. So we have, for each character, we have 2 player and 1 controller card. So I'm not going to go through all those because it's just pictures of the characters. But let's go ahead and hop into the cards. Let's look at the different player or different terrain cards and stuff before we get into the actual characters. So here we have the poison pools. It just says terrain penalty. Models must pay 1 space of movement to enter or leave the terrain. So there's lots of the different terrain tiles. And then terrain penalty. Models begin their activation. Moving into, moving through, or leaving this terrain must gain 1 poison token. Okay, cool. So if you begin there, move into it, move through it, or leave it, you have to take a poison token. The moving through is the interesting one. Because that means if someone can drop 2 or 3 in a row that you have to walk through, you could end up gaining a couple of different poison. Although I want to say probably a limit of 2 for each, so it's not that terrible. And then we have the sleep mist. Terrain penalty. Models begin their activation, moving into, moving through, or leaving, become dazed. So cool. So each one does a different effect. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 brand new rule cards. They're double-sided. This is the same on the other side, but he's going to explain these conditions. So we have minions are KO'd when they gain condition tokens. So minions can become dazed, but if they get anything else, they automatically are just KO'd. Characters may have the 2 of each condition at any time. So you can have 6 tokens at a time. If they were to gain another of that token type, they instead suffer 1 wound. Oh, so there we go. Yeah, so if you put multiple poison, they would eventually just start taking wounds from it. At the end of their activation, characters may pay 1 power for each condition token they want to remove. So good. Cool way to spend power. We have poison. When performing actions, a character must suffer 1 wound for each poison token they have before each action. So yeah, if you want to do stuff, you're going to have to pay for it, one way or the other. It's also interesting to note for that, though, is it says at the end of their activation, they can pay to get rid of it. So that means, is that before or after they do their actions, though? I have to look at the exact rules, because that can make a very big difference. Constrict. A character moves -1 space for each constrict token they have, and Paralysis, or Paralyze. Characters roll -1 attack die for each paralyzed token they have. Cool. So yeah, we can poison guys. Either we can stop their movement, or stop slow their movement, or slow their attack. And we'll see all the different characters in this set use them. They're all a bunch of snakes, so of course they're going to. Then we're going to look at the one new minion for this set. And this is, again, makes thematically, so that way, if you're playing as these guys versus Skeletor or She-Ra's forces or the Masters, they can each have their own signature ally. These guys are kind of crazy because they are basically Snakemen thrown into Hordak armor. So it would have been cool if you just had like a full-on new like miniature Snakeman, but it's kind of a neat idea. These guys are like Snakemen in armor. So you have Snake Troopers, 1 defense, 1 health, connecting power, Venom Blade, 2 melee for each Castle Grayskull. Each enemy gains a poison token. Crazy. So they already gained 2, and they can give out poison tokens. Then we're gonna get 2 of the different models. 1 standing, 1 kind of like, I don't know, half attacking, hissing. Definitely neat. And then they're going to 4 of each of these for a total of 8 different minions. Alright, so those are our basic stuff. Let's hop into the things we all want to see. We want to see some of the actual characters. And like always, we're going to start with the main guys. We have King Hiss. Who else is going to lead the Snakemen? Like the good old King Hiss. Look at his miniature there. He's got that snake shield. Got a snake staff. Definitely, this character is always interesting because he's like, you look at him and you're like, okay, all the rest of the characters are snakes, and this guy's like, this is a human. Why is he running the snakes? We'll see in a minute why. He has a special ability that we'll see. So, alright, to start him off, he has 1 defense. I love every character that seems to have a shield has an innate defense. Like, it's not just, hey, I have built-in defense because I'm strong. They always seem to have a little tiny shield with them. He has a Viper Staff. For 3 ranged, attack boost. There we go. Enemies wounded by this attack gain 1 poison tokens. He's hanging out poison tokens already. And then the Supreme Commander. Not to be confused with the Cobra Commander. That's a different snake-themed character. Spawn up to 2 snake troopers adjacent to King Hiss. Maximum of 2 on the battlefield. Bonus action. Activate all snake troopers within 2 spaces of King Hiss. Cool, so that's neat. I didn't expect the boss guy to have the summon ability. Usually it's somebody else. That's actually pretty cool. You can summon extra snake troopers. I'm not sure what that maximum 2 on the battlefield, though. Does that mean that he can only summon up to 2 maximum? Like, he can't keep summoning? I'm guessing that's what it means. And not that there can only be a maximum of 2, snake troopers total. I'm gonna assume that's what they mean. Alright, then his commander version is Viper Staff again, same thing, and Supreme Commander, the same thing. Then he has Empowered. Once during his activation, King Hiss may pay 1 power to have all poison enemies within 2 spaces suffer 1 wound. Ooh, so he kind of like somehow triggers the poison. That's actually pretty interesting. Alright, up next we have the AI version. And you'll notice it's sleeved. So if you watch the first video I talked about the sleeves, I actually have 1 card. The sleeve happened to be the one I grabbed to see if it fit. But we have his AI. He has Viper Staff, gains that, and Summon Soldiers. Spawn up to 2 snake troopers adjacent to him, and then Surge activates immediately. So all his abilities are basically the same for his different modes there. Then let's look at his actual skills. Zoom in a little bit on those. We have Horde of Snakes. Pay 3. All for a green. Crazy. All enemies within 4 spaces gain 1 poison and 1 constrict token. Oh yeah, boy, this guy's a beefy guy. And then Master Strategist. King Hiss may use this boost on himself or any ally within 4 spaces. Attack boost, roll +1 die for each ally adjacent to the enemy. Yeah, so if you surround him, he can basically give everyone a bonus. That's kind of cool. Plus the fact is he can summon extra guys. Could be right there, so he can gain them boosts quicker. Alright, then he has Viper Strike. Before or after completing this attack, push King Hiss up to 2 spaces. Reaction. If this KOs the enemy, King Hiss may perform 1 Viper Strike attack against another enemy in range, cannot generate power. Oh, and that could work well with the movement. So if, like, you're not going to beat them, you could back away. If you know you're going to beat them, or if you do defeat them, you could then opt, like, oh, I'm pretty sure I can beat them. They have, like, one or 2 health left. Beat them, you could then move towards another player to being closer to use the Viper Strike again. That's actually a pretty neat combo in itself. And then Toxin Master bonus. All enemies within 4 spaces suffer 1 wound for each condition token on them. And again, you could have up to 6. You can do 6 damage potentially in 1 turn. That's nasty. And then he has Natural Selection. When a Snake Trooper within 4 spaces attacks, that attack gains +1 castle. And then it says they gain 1 poison token, so it automatically gives them not only a success, but a poison token. When King Hiss's attack push 1 Snake Trooper within 4 spaces, into a space adjacent to him, they become the target of the attack. And then he sacrifices his pawns. Nice. Alright, then he's got this cool one. So, all the other four main characters, He-Man, Skeletor, She-Ra, and Hordak, have all had mounts that they did a climb upon. So King Hiss is a little bit different. He says, replace King Hiss with his Serpentine King Hiss. His attacks now hit all enemies within 4 spaces, and he gains the following attack: 5-headed strike. If this wounds an enemy with any poison tokens, they lose 1 power, and King Hiss heals 1. So instead of getting a mount, he switches to his Serpentine form. So now this is the thing with fun, where it's like, oh, he's just a man. Except that he turns into this giant snake monstrosity, where he has 6 extra snakes popping out on either side, a big giant snake in the middle. Otherwise, yeah, just man pants. That's crazy, right? I love that. So that's cool. So he gets to become that instead of getting him mounted. Then, like all of the other characters, we do have the controller version of that card. So there's a little bit better picture of him as a Serpentine form. And that way the controller can play starting off just as the same way the other characters can start off with the mounted version. So he does lose his defense, but he gains 1 extra health. He has Serpent Lash, 3 attack, melee, attack boost. Roll 1 die. May split the attack dice between 2 adjacent enemies. Attack boost. Enemies wounded by this attack gain a poison token. Or 5-headed strike. If this wounds an enemy with a poison token, they lose 1 power and King Hiss heals 1. If you empower him, adjacent enemies that attack King Hiss gain 1 poison token after completing their attack. Ooh, so he gets like a counter attack for Venom. What's also cool, though, that the other characters don't get, is he gets an AI version as well. So you can play against the Serpentine version as an AI. So he has Serpent Lash like he did before, and then he has Rampage. Move King Hiss up to 2 spaces towards the closest enemy. Before performing this attack, hits all enemies within 4 spaces of King Hiss. Enemies wounded by this attack gain 1 poison token. So that's cool, because I don't think any of the mounted characters before had an AI version. You could either control them, or you could turn into them as the player version. But this one's kind of neat, so he gets a full AI version as well. Alright, that's our boss leader character, King Hiss. Let's hop into our next Snakeman. As we hear the slithering rattle of Rattalor. Now I want to say, if I remember, I remember his character. He had kind of like a soft body, like the toy, but his I think like his back of his head to his tail was like solid, so you could like move him around. I don't remember. I feel something like that. I should look that up. That'd be a fun thing to do, is do a comparison video of all these guys. So he also has one of these snake staffs. Like King Hiss has, but his is a red one, of course. To match him. Yeah, there's his rattling tail. So he has Coiled Strike. Reaction: if an enemy ends a move adjacent to Rattler, perform a Coiled Strike attack against that targeted enemy. Cool, so if they stop next to him, he gets a free attack. And then Tail Sweep. Hits all enemies within 2 spaces, attack boost. Enemies wounded with this gain a Constrict token. Nice. I'm going to keep these cards there. So yeah, that'll limit their movement then. So yeah, you can smack people from a distance. You can hit multiple guys. That's actually pretty solid base attacks. Here's his controller side. He has Coiled Strike again. And he has Taunt after that. Push all enemies within 4 spaces up to 3 spaces towards Rattler, so you can bring them in next to him. Which then says reaction: if Coiled Strike reaction, an enemy ends a move adjacent to Rattler, perform 1 Coiled Strike against that targeted enemy. So as long as if you taunt them towards him, then he could pay the reaction. You do a free strike on his turn. That's kind of cool. And then powered. Rattler may pay +1 power to using taunt to have those enemies become dazed. Oh, sweet. Because then it also limits their movements. And gets rid of their defense. Then you can also get rid of their defense, and then Coiled Strike them as well if you wanted to pay 4. Yeah, bring them next to you, Coiled Strike them, remove their defense because they're dazed. That's a pretty sick combo. Alright, his AI version has Coiled Strike again. Enemies wounded become poisoned. If an enemy hasn't activated this round, rolls +2 dice. That's neat. I have yet to see that effect. Something that mentions people not activating. So if he attacks first, he gets extra dice. So that's kind of a cool idea. And then Taunt and Bite. Push all enemies within 4 spaces up to 3 spaces towards Rattler. Then perform 1 Coiled Strike on the adjacent enemy with the lowest remaining HP. Cool. And again, you could use some attack boosts on there. Sweet. Let's take a look at his specific skills. So before we do that, we'll zoom in up on him a little bit more better. Definitely a neat one. Just a giant snake with like a belt on. A belt and little tuffed out fur underwear. Alright. We have Hardened Scales. Defense boost. Roll 2 dice. For each sword and Castle Grayskull, Rattler gains 1 defense. If Rattler suffers no wounds from this attack, the attacker becomes dazed. Surge, you may reroll any of these guys. That's a sweet defensive ability. You pay 1 and you can potentially block 2 damage. You can even reroll them if you might need to. Nice. Or you can have them becoming Rage. 3 bonus attacks. Suffer up to 2 wounds, then gain that much power. Attack boost. Any attack. Roll 1 die for every 2 wounds Rattler has suffered. That's kind of neat. So you can either defend, or if he is taking too many damage, you could have him becoming raged. And you can do extra damage. Then he has his taunt ability. Push all enemies within 4 spaces. 3 spaces towards Rattler, and then reaction. When an enemy within 4 spaces activates, push them up to 3 spaces towards Rattler. Ooh, cool. So then he can also, now he just uses an action, he can then mess up their turn as well by forcing them towards them before they did even take their turn. Which makes sense. He's rattling. They're like, what's that? And then Take a Bite. For melee attack. For each wound dealt, Rattler may heal 1. Oh, it works with his Enrage ability. Enemies wounded by this attack gain 1 poison token. Reaction after rolling attack dice, reroll any dice. Cool, so yeah, you can use just the healing, you can use the healing and damage, and then you can also reroll it. Alright, Devour Whole 5. This attack costs 2 actions to perform. I don't think we've seen anything that's forced you to have to spend 2 actions either. That's cool. Ignores defense. Each hit deals 2 wounds. If this tails an enemy, Rattler may perform 1 move action. That's neat. Yeah, being the fact you roll 5 dice, just that means potentially you could get 10 damage out of this, which is enough to take out any character, because it also ignores their defense. That's crazy, so you could get really lucky that way. And then, if he's enraged, he could roll 1 extra dice for every 2 wounds as well. And since he has 8 health, that's potentially 3 more extra dice. You could potentially, I would say you could roll 8 dice, but I think it maxes out at 6 is the most you can roll. I think they do tell you in the rules you can only roll, unless it says otherwise. But even still, even if you only had to use it once, and you got 6 dice, that's potentially 12 damage. So that would be very hard, especially not having any defense, innate defense. That's going to be hard for them to do. And then if you're rolling 6 dice, even if you only hit 3 of them, that's still 6 damage. Most characters have somewhere between 6 to 8 health, I think. Is roughly 6, 7, or 8. So I could just about KO anybody. Plus, you give him poison at any point before that. Crazy. And then he has Intimidating Rattle. Bonus action, roll 4 dice. For each sword and Grayskull, each enemy within 2 spaces loses 1 power. For each power they cannot lose, they suffer 1 wound and become dazed. Nice. So he's all about maximizing, bringing guys towards you and then messing with them. Either constricting them a little here, a little bit of poison, dazing here. He does a little of each. But yeah, that's definitely, I like his all his taunt abilities that bring guys towards you. That's really fun. Alright, let's hop into our next guy. We have Tongue Lasher. So he gets a purple staff. Does everyone have a staff? Did I just miss that? That's kind of cool. And then he has a crossbow. Of course, he has a big giant tongue. Makes sense. He's a Tongue Lasher. 7 health. Dragonfly crossbow, 3 ranged. Ignore defense. Nice, pretty solid beginning attack. Extend tongue. These can be used on any lick attack. Okay, that's going to be very important. Attack boost. This attack may target any enemy within 4 spaces of Tongue Lasher. This attack may attack any enemy within 4 spaces of Tongue Lasher. I thought that was the default range. Unless, we'll have to see how that works. And then reaction. After rolling an attack dice, reroll any dice. Okay, we'll have to see how that works with his abilities. But let's look at the controller side. Which has purple and pink motif. With a snake embedded into his chest. Which is a symbol on all their things. It's like he has his well in his belt. But his is just like burned into his chest or something. Lick. Attack boost. Enemies wounded by this attack gain 1 poison token or 1 perilous token. Attacker's choice. And then lick and toss. Pushing enemy wounded by this attack up to 3 spaces. If they end adjacent to another enemy, both these enemies suffer 1 wound and become dazed. Oh, that's kind of interesting, because lots of the tossing abilities so far have made you perform an extra attack. But this one just lets you do 1 damage. And then empower. Both of Tongue Lasher's attacks may target an enemy within 4 spaces. Oh, that's neat. Because they're melee attacks, you can now turn them into ranged attacks. That's what's going to happen with these lick attacks, I bet. Nice. And let's check the AI version. He has lick, which does either ranged or melee. Attack boost. Enemy wounded by this attack gains a poison, gains a paralysis, or gains a constrict token. And then, or all three if you pay for all of them. And then lick and toss. Push enemies up to 3 spaces and they become wounded and dazed. So the same as the other one. That's pretty cool. Just for an AI character, you have to watch what he does. But they always go down, so they're going to be poison first, then paralysis, then constrict. Alright, let's look at his specific skills. Ooh, we got a venomous lick. Let's look at his miniature here quick. Alright. Big old tongue hanging out. Actually, the one thing that kind of sucks about, like, the way they make these miniatures. I know you can't really do anything, but because they're just one color, you lose some of that detail on them. Like, on his legs, he has, like, these purple, pink and purple, like, pink legs with purple swirls. I get that they didn't want to put the design on there. But that's kind of one thing you sort of miss out of it, is some of the, like, coloring stripes and stuff. But yeah, it'd be awesome if I could paint them then. We have Venomous Lick. Enemies wounded by this attack gain 1 poison. And then we have Tentacle Lick. Enemies wounded by this attack gain 1 constrict. Now, I'm surprised this is an ability that flips over, that he only has the option of one or the other. But it's a good, almost complement to some of the other characters, because, hey, which one do you need? Alright, then we have Cold Blooded. Boost any attack. For each wound out, heal 1. Bonus action, Tongue Lasher heals 2. Oh, he can heal himself. And then Petrifying Lick. Enemies wounded by this attack gain 1 paralysis token and become dazed. Nice, so you can do some dazing ability. And then he has Lick and Toss. Push enemies wounded by this attack up to 3 spaces. If they end adjacent to another enemy, both these enemies suffer 1 wound and become dazed. So we've seen that one before. And then his other ultimate attack, Multi-Lashing. These may be used on any lick attack. Attack boost, roll 2 dice. Attack boost. This action becomes a bonus action, and attack boost hits all enemies in range. So he has lots of stuff just to boost all his attacks. Because then he also has his Extend Tongue, which lets go up to 4 spaces. And after rolling, they can reroll any dice. So you have lots of options by the time you get to his red ability to make all his attacks better. And then every single one of his attacks is a lick attack, except for Cold Blooded. So that's actually pretty cool. Alright, before we move on, I had to actually pause for a second. I had to look this up. So I was confused by his attack boost down here. Attacks may target any enemy within 4 spaces. I thought, like, isn't that how the range is? It's 4 spaces. The little keyword that's missing in there to help make us understand is ranged attacks have to be within 4 spaces of line of sight. This gets rid of the line of sight. So if there's something around, like, he can basically attack around an object, around a rock, over a boulder, around an ice thing, ice wall. So that's actually cool. His tongue can then stick out. That's the extending part of it. His tongue can stick out and attack around stuff. So that's actually really cool. That actually makes all of his attacks a lot better. It's basically almost every single one of his attacks, other than his Dragonfly crossbow and his one Cold-Blooded, which isn't even really an attack, it's a healing effect, can now hit anybody within 4 spaces. So basically, if you get near him, he's gonna hit you. That's cool. Alright, let's hop into our next character. We have Cobra Khan. Alright, so this guy... Yeah, all the other guys have, like, some neat things that he's just... Yeah, he's Cobra Khan here. He's got a laser pistol. Alright, so let's look at his abilities here. Laser pistol for 3 range. Reaction after rolling the attack dice, reroll any dice. Makes sense. And then reaction shot. If an enemy ends a move within 4 spaces with Cobra Khan, perform 1 laser pistol targeting that enemy. So sort of like Rattler had the ability to like coil, but that was a close range. This is a long range version. So if these guys get near him, he's gonna be like, I see you. I'm gonna attack you. So pretty generic there. A neat ability, but like nothing super special. But we'll see what his abilities do. That's where the skills come in, man. His controller version also has laser pistol, which also keeps that reaction ability in there. And then Shadow Meld. Move boost. Cobra Khan ignores escape damage. Any enemy he begins, moves, or ends adjacent to becomes dazed. And Powered. Cobra Khan may reroll attack dice while attacking dazed enemies. Oh, cool. So you're going to use your move ability to get away from guys. Or move around them. You don't necessarily get away. But yeah, then you can daze multiple guys, and then you can use laser pistol to turn around and then shoot them, and you get to reroll all your dice. That's a neat little combo. And then he has his AI abilities. So we have laser pistol again, with the same basic stuff, reroll or additional laser attack, and then sleep mist. Oh, there we go. Place 1 sleep mist token on the enemy space within 4 spaces of Cobra Khan. Perform 1 laser pistol attack targeting that enemy in range with the lowest HP. He's all about using his laser pistol a lot. He's just like running in guns blazing, isn't he? And that sleep mist again will just makes them dazed, and then also it works with his dazed abilities. Cool. So let's take a look at his miniature, and then we'll hop into his skills. So yeah, he's got like scale suspenders. Very interesting. And then instead of having like tough armor, he has like regular spandex armor on. But I even love the boots and stuff on these characters. Like he has boots on, but they're like scale boots. Alright, let's look at his abilities and see what he gets to do. I guess a lot of dazing stuff. He has Poison Spit. 3 range. Place 1 Poison Pool token on the enemy space. Remove it at the end of the round. Okay, so it just goes there for once and then goes away. Action, flip this skill over. I'm gonna guess a Sleep Mist effect. Yes, Sleep Mist. Place 1 Sleep Mist token on the enemy space. Remove it at the end of the round. Yeah, so there I was talking about, like, I was like, oh, begin with that. I wish I had more tokens because they're double-sided. It'd be nice to have more of them out. But so far, this is the only guy that can place them, and they go away at the end of the round. So, unless you can somehow create 6 of them, over 6 of them in a turn, it shouldn't be an issue. Then he has Shadow Meld. Move boost, Cobra Khan ignores escape damage. Any enemy he begins, moves, or ends becomes dazed. That works with his main ability. No, it does not work with his main ability. But it does help him, though, because if he can slow people down by dazing them, he can get next to them. And surprise attack, free attack boost. If an enemy is not activated this round, it's the second guy with that ability. He may reroll any attack dice. And then attack boost, if enemy loses 1 power, if they cannot, they become dazed. And reaction, at the start of the round, Cobra Khan performs 1 attack. Nice. So he gets to potentially roll before people, and he gets to attack early. Plus his laser pistol keeps letting him attack a lot. This guy's just gonna just go around. You just attack a lot. He has Sleep Spray. Place up to 2 Sleep Mist tokens up to 4 spaces of Cobra Khan. Remove them at the end of the round. Surge. This becomes a bonus action. And reaction. When an enemy activates while on a sleep token, remove that token. That enemy loses 1 action this activation. So, again, it's the end of the round, not the end of his turn. So the earlier he acts, the longer these will stay out. So it's kind of maybe a giveaway. You have him, that your opponents definitely might be worried that you're going to have him act quick, because in that way he can place these right away. But yeah, that's neat. So enemy activates while on a sleep token, remove that token. That enemy loses 1 action. Loses 1 action as activation. Yes, if they're on that sleep token and they're trying to move off of it, yeah, they'll become dazed and then they'll lose an activation as well. So that's doubly bad. Alright, what's his other ultimate ability side? We have Double Agent. Reaction: when a controller activation card is revealed, switch it with the next controller activation card on the track. Reaction: when a player activation card is revealed, switch it with the next player activation card on the track. That's interesting. So he can swap around your controller abilities, and then you can swap around player cards. So while you're the player, you can basically be like, you can be like, I'm originally gonna have Raggler attack first, and then have him maybe later on. But then you're like, wait, no, these guys move closer to me, or they're doing this. You can then swap them around. In the same sense, you could do the same thing with your controller activation cards. And it's also when it's revealed, so you can see who it is, too. So if you're like, oh crap, they put He-Man first, he's standing right next to me, I'm not ready for that. You could swap him and make him play later and have someone else that's maybe farther on the board attack. That's a very interesting, cool ability, because there's nothing else like it. Very strategic. That's neat. I like that. Alright. We have our 5th Snakeman. We have the aptly named Squeeze. This is a sweet looking miniature. So I just noticed Cobra Khan is the only guy so far that doesn't have that snake ability on him. Interesting. Maybe he's a traitor. No, but look at this miniature here. So there's these big, giant, long snake arms that he's using to like stand on. Like he has his foot on the ground just because it's probably how they make sure it holds them up. And then he has I gotta zoom in on this actually. Let's take a look at this. Yeah, so then he has a snake around his arm as well. So not only does he have these big, giant, long snake arms that he attacks with, but he also has, a little extra snake buddy with him. We should definitely see if that plays into his abilities at all. Squeeze has quick jab, 3 range or 3 melee, and then his squeeze attack, bonus action, enemy within 4 spaces gains a constrict token. Surge, enemy gains +1 constrict token. An action, enemy within 4 spaces suffers 1 wound per constrict token on them. Oh, so cool. So it doesn't even do damage, but he can give out constrict tokens, and then he can turn around and make them take extra damage for each one. Or, because you don't have to surge it even. You can just do the action if you want. But yeah, constrict then, character moves -1 space for each constrict token they have. So if you throw 2 on, you can only move 1 space every turn, which would make getting away from these guys very hard. And if these guys are shooting poison and dazed tokens and all this stuff at you, you probably don't want to stay near them. There's a little bit more full art with him. There's a little purple snake guy there. Quick jab again. May reroll 1 attack per constrict token on enemy, and then Squeeze does the same thing. Then empowered, when Squeeze attacks, all adjacent enemies gain 1 constrict token. Nice. So yeah, if they can't move because they already have constrict tokens, he can get near them easier. Squeeze. I keep probably emphasizing it wrong. His AI has quick jab as well, and then Squeeze as well. So basically the same ideas for all of them. Although notice on the still they did swap around. They gain 4, then all enemies in 4 spaces suffer 1 wound, and then surge to gain 1 extra constrict token, which is a very interesting, important thing to point out though, because when you do the AI, you have to go top to bottom. So all the other ones, you can essentially opt to give them the first Squeeze ability, they gain the 1 constrict token. And you can opt to give them the second one and then have them then take the 1 damage per each one, so they can take 2 damage. This one you would have to give them 1 damage. Then you could surge it if they have enough power to do the second one. So they might not have enough ability to gain 2 off the bat. Cool. Let's look at his abilities. The first one makes sense. He has elongated arms, which of course he does. Target 1 terrain or model within 4 spaces. Squeeze pushes into the closest adjacent push squeeze into the closest adjacent space to the target. Oh, neat. So he grabs something and he pulls himself towards it. It becomes a bonus action. I love that he even says terrain. So, like, he can grab a boulder or the ice wall or a rock. I don't know why you want an ice wall necessarily. Depends. You could be on Frosty's team if you're playing a mixed game. But that's cool that he way to move himself around the board like that. That's a neat little ability. And then he has grab instead. Enemies wounded by this attack may be pushed to the closest space adjacent to squeeze. So basically, you can smack them and bring them to him, so that he can move. The other one's neat though, because you can not only move next to an enemy or a train, or you pull yourself away. You can also move next to an ally if you need to. And then we have squeeze. 4. Roll 1 attack dice for each constrict token on the enemy. May reroll 1 attack dice for each constrict token on the enemy. You only have 2, but still getting to roll 6 dice, and the ability to potentially roll 2 is very powerful. And then we have arm swing. He's going to whale you with his arms. Hit all enemy within 4 spaces of squeeze. For each Castle Grayskull, 1 enemy targeted by this attack becomes dazed. That's cool too. So again, yeah, you want a powerful like single attack, or you want one that hits everybody. Nice. And then we have crush. Enemies wounded by this attack gain 2 constrict tokens. This guy's just gonna hold everyone in place, isn't he? I feel like I might need more constrict tokens than there are. And then throw ally. Push 1 ally within 4 spaces into any space within 4 spaces of squeeze. If they engage into an enemy, they perform 1 attack on that enemy and roll +1 die. I love it. We have regular throw. You can pick up an enemy, and then you hit them, and then it throws them. This one, you can throw a guy next to him. So he's all about getting people himself or people in place by constricting guys, holding people back, or moving towards them. And then throw allies are a really fun ability. I mean, like maybe not as powerful as some of these guys, but like imagine if you teamed them up with someone like He-Man, who has some pretty beefy attacks, and right, you throw them in there. That's cool. That's definitely a neat ability. I like that. All right, our last Snakeman is the grossest of the Snakemen. And this is Snakeface. Yeah, so all the other ones are like different types of snakes. Like a rattlesnake, a cobra, you know, I don't even know what type, like Lasher and Squeeze are, but they're definitely snake beings. This is like a weird guy that like got possessed by snakes. He's also got a green scepter and a shield. So he gets that defense. But yeah, he's just got snakes coming out of his eyes, some coming out from behind him. A very weird design. Very nightmare feverish. Plus the snakes coming off his chest, off his costume. I don't know if these are real snakes or just like armaments. Alright, so there's Serpent Staff. Attack boost. Hit all enemies within 2 spaces of Snakeface. And then Petrifying Gaze. Bonus action. 1 enemy within 2 spaces gains the Perilous token, which again gives you -1 attack. Surge. All enemies within 2 spaces instead. Nice. You can basically weaken everybody with their attacks. And then his boost, you can hit all enemies with his extra staff. That's pretty cool. There's a little bit more full art of him. Then we have Serpent Gaze for the controller. Hits all enemies within 2 spaces, or enemies wounded by this attack gain 1 perilous token, so you can give it out to multiple characters. And then Quick Gaze, defense boost. The enemy gains 1 perilous token. Surge. After this attack, the enemy suffers 1 wound for each perilous token they have. Cool. So you're going to pass them out left and right and then punish people for them. Then Empowered. Snake Base rolls +1 attack die against enemies for each perilous token they have. Cool. So we have one guy that does some poison, a couple guys do some poisoning. Squeeze does constrict. This guy's going to do paralyzing tokens. His AI version has Serpent Gaze again, and then Wide Gaze. All enemies within 4 spaces of Snake Base gain 1 perilous token. Surge, those enemies gain +1 token. So he's just going to pass these out left and right. Which again can combine with some of these other guys that abilities are like they do extra damage for every token they have. Definitely cool. Alright, let's look at his skills. Let's look at his mini quick. So this mini is a little controversial. So a lot of people didn't like it in a Kickstarter after the game came out, did not like his face. It said it just looks like a jumbled mess. A snake shield is pretty cool. It's a bunch of snakes wrapped around it to make a shield of it. That's cool. Yeah, I don't know. I think his face looks alright for what it is. I understand the issue, same thing like his armor, because like the artwork makes it seem like his eyes and his tongue, like they're all gonna stick off and stick out of his head. But I get having little tiny pieces like that stick off is just asking for me to get snapped off and broken. So it's an interesting thing to do. I think they did the best you could do without making him a potential like character that got broken a bunch. Alright, let's look at his abilities though. He has Horrify, which he is horrifying. KO all minions within 2 spaces of Snake Base. Push all enemy characters within 2 spaces away from him. Oh, crazy. So he just straight up KOs minions. What's the other side here that's gonna like make me possibly want this instead? Venom Shield, defense boost. Roll 1 die for each sword or Grayskull. The attacker gains 1 poison token. And then Surge, roll 1 dice. So yeah, if you're around a lot of minions, or you're playing against someone that's going to be summoning minion characters, the other one could be definitely great. But this isn't bad either. Not only do you get a chance to defend, you might not actually stop any damage. You can hang out the poison tokens, which says, when performing actions, a character must suffer 1 wound for each poison token they have before the action. So yeah, if they try and hit you, you could potentially give them up to 2 poison counters, and so then if they have to do anything else, either they try and attack you a second time, or they try and flee, they're going to take 1 to 2, possibly 1 to 2 damage. So not bad at all. Alright, what's his yellow ability? Slowed Reflexes. A free attack boost. If an enemy has a perilous token, ignore its defense. Oh boy. Yeah, he'll plant these and then everyone else. Yeah, you can make. Well, not anyone else because it's an attack boost, but still. If the enemy has any perilous tokens, they may not use defense boosts, and this attack may reroll any dice. So cool. So you already can ignore their defense. Then you can also stop them from playing defense boosts, and you get a reroll attacks. That's definitely neat. Yes, it's slowing guys down. And then he has Quick Gaze. Boost defense. The enemy gains 1 perilous token. Surge. After this attack, the enemy suffers 1 wound for each perilous token they have. So yeah, that'll work with his other ability. He's going to hand out them perilous tokens. His red is Shatter. Roll 1 die for each perilous token on the enemy. If the enemy has 2 perilous tokens, Grayskull results generate 1 additional success. Oh boy. So alright. So that means he has four dice. Then he gets to roll potentially up to 2 more dice for 6. And then if he has those 2 tokens, he can also generate additional successes, which again you could roll you can roll 0 of them, you can roll 6 of them, which just add more damage. So it's kind of a neat way, like, because if you only max out at 6 dice, getting additional successes means you can do more damage than that. So that's actually pretty powerful. Plus, he's going to hang out some perilous tokens left and right. And to get rid of them, they have to pay 1 power. So that's the only way to get rid of them, right? End of the activation. May pay 1 for each thing. Plus, also just that fact of characters may have up to 2 of each condition. If they are to gain another, they gain a wound. So even though you can like give out 2 at a time, you can keep giving them out, and they take extra damage. So then they're gonna have to spend their power to get rid of them, so they don't take free damage. Or if they keep spending their power to get rid of 1 or 2 of these every turn, that's going to prevent what abilities they can apply. And that's the same thing with like the constrict and the poison. So like besides the negative effects of them, because they might be able to be like, -1 attack, I can deal with that. It's not that big of a deal. Or -1 move, I can handle that. But yeah, it's the extra wounds that are going to be the problem. And all these guys hang them out left and right. His last attack is Sweeping Gaze, 5 range. Hits all enemies in range. Enemies wounded by this gain 2 perilous tokens. And if they already have someone, you just said, boom, they're going to get more. That is very deadly. Alright, so that is all of our Snakemen for the set. Those are some really fun abilities. I even like King Hiss's ability to like summon. That's kind of cool, like the main guy just to summon. There's a little bit of healing in here, but not much. And when they were, I think for the most part, they were kind of healing themselves. So these guys aren't really trying to heal each other. But these guys do, kind of like the She-Ra set, they work very well as like a team. But because they're giving out all these different status tokens, and since there's a limit, they're just going to create utter chaos like that. They're not doing maybe a ton of damage normally, but it's the overtime damage, which is going to be really painful. Alright, so we do have one other big thing in this box set that might interest people. We have a dinosaur. More specifically, we have Tyrannosaurus Rex. So this is an AI-only character. Which is very interesting, because I think it's the only character that's AI only. That's definitely a neat idea. So he has 10 health with 2 defense. He has Devour, 5 attack, melee, ignore defense for each Grayskull, gain +1 success. And skill, Mighty Roar. All enemies in 4 spaces become dazed. So like nothing overtly powerful, but still be able to like 5 dice, potentially more damage, and ignore defenses. Plus, we can daze guys. That'll help too. But yeah, big giant purple dinosaur. He's got like some mech parts on him. He's got a laser cannon. I guess I can see probably why they didn't make him playable. I think maybe because I guess he's a little bit more powerful than some guys. That still would have been kind of cool, though. So with him as well, I'm going to back this out. We are going to get some bonus scenarios. So this is the other thing with him. He has a couple of different scenarios where he is the core of it as an AI character. Now, this is what's interesting because he's an AI, so it says like right here. It says the first dot here. Tyrannosaurus Rex is a neutral, may be attacked by anyone. It cannot move on any terrain. It is restricted by moving within the valley. So it has to stay in the middle section on this particular mode. Uses AI reference of anytime the model that isn't Tyrannosaurus Rex and can move action in any of the valley spaces. He activates. Activation is determined by rolling 4 dice. So you can move 2 towards the model, move 1 space towards the model, or add 1 die to its attack. So there's some other different effects in there. After moving counts gyro, because he doesn't have an activation or use a strategy card in this particular mode. Now, if you're using him on your against an AI team somewhere else, then you just use the regular activation rules. But that's kind of neat. He has some specific ones. He also has a so that's an open side match. He has a pit boss match, which is controller of the Snakemen, and it's an AI scenario. So this is basically the AI versus Snakemen versus Tyrannosaurus Rex. So the controller player, character player, if you're playing with AI, so you can do some different stuff there. So the players have to defeat Tyrannosaurus Rex and KO 3 controller characters 3 times, not including the Rex. So that way, basically, the first one was both sides against Tyrannosaurus Rex. This one instead is the controllers are taking control of the Rex, and then everyone else gets to use them. And then we have one other. We have Secure the Rex. A victory condition will move Tyrannosaurus side are trying to wrangle him. So one where both sides are trying to feed him, one where they control him, and the one where you're trying to wrangle him. So there's some different modes with him. It's kind of a neat extra idea. Would have been kind of cool if you also had at least like a player or controller card would have been kind of cool as well. Even if there was maybe some rule like he has to take up 2 slots or something if he's so powerful. Who knows? But definitely having more things are always fun. Alright, so that's what we have for Wrath of Snake Mode. And again, this is a Kickstarter exclusive set. But if you're looking at picking it up, now you know all the cool stuff that's going to be in there. See you guys in the next video. Bye.